Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to math. Today we are going to continue in our journey through estimating and measuring different lengths. So we are going to be using the metric unit today, as well as the U.S. customary system of measurement. So I want to show you guys what you're going to be working on today. Today, you're going to be using page 178, and you are going to be estimating and measuring using the metric unit, which is centimeters or meters. You're also going to be using your personal references, as well as picking a U.S. customary unit like inches, feet, or yards to measure a few things. So let's take a look at what you're going to do with these things. So here are some different lengths. We have the height of a desk. That's how tall the desk is. We have the side of a calculator. The width of a door. We talked about the width as being how wide the door is. And we have the side of the classroom. So one of the walls of the classroom. Okay. Here I see this divided up into metric units and U.S. customary units. It's almost as if we drew a line down the middle right here. We're breaking it up between metric units and U.S. customary units. Now, metric units, the ones that we have learned about so far, are either centimeters, which is represented by cm, or meters, which is represented by an m. So you can choose either centimeters or meters to measure these things with. If you are measuring something on the smaller side, I would probably use centimeters. If you are measuring something that is a lot larger, let's say the side of a classroom, I would probably use meters because meters are longer than centimeters. Which one of these would you use to measure the side of a calculator? Keep in mind that the calculator is pretty small. If you chose centimeters for measuring the calculator, that is a great pick. All right, so metric units, like I said, are centimeters or meters. Those are the ones we've studied so far. Now, you're also measuring these same things with the U.S. customary units. The ones that we have learned so far are inches. That's represented by an IN. That means inches. We've also used feet. So I'm representing feet with FT, feet. And we've also learned about yards. And I am representing the word yards with a YDS. That's how we write it in the short way. So inches, feet, and yards are all in U.S. customary units. So let's say that I have my calculator and I want to measure my calculator. Am I going to use centimeters or meters? Centimeters, you're right. Now, keep in mind, the first box is just your estimate. It's just your estimate. So you are using a personal reference. What do you know is exactly 1 centimeter? Well, I know that my little pinky fingernail is exactly 1 centimeter. So I could measure the side of my calculator and get an estimate using my pinky. Okay, then I would use an actual ruler, okay, and I would measure the side of the calculator in centimeters using a tool like a ruler. So you first have an estimate that's using your personal reference, and then you are actually measuring it using a tool, okay? You're going to do the same thing. You're going to measure the side of the calculator again, first of all, using an estimate. So, thinking about the size of a calculator, Would you be using inches, feet, or yards? If you said inches, you are correct. A calculator is smaller than 1 foot, so I would not want to use that. A calculator is also a lot smaller than a yard, so I definitely would not want to use that. So I'm going to pick inches to measure the side of my calculator. So I'm going to estimate it first. I know that this cap is exactly 1 inch or pretty close to it. So I might use my cap to help me estimate the size of the calculator in inches. And then I would use my ruler to measure exactly how many inches the side of a calculator is, and I would write it here. So you've got a couple of different things that you're doing today for your measuring. First of all, you're estimating, then you're measuring in metric units, centimeters or meters. Then, here's that dividing wall, then you're using the US customary units, either inches, feet, or yards. You're going to estimate first, and then you will measure using a ruler or a yardstick. At the very bottom of the page, you get to choose something that you want to measure. It could be something close by you, something that we haven't measured yet. Okay, you need to pick something that's in your classroom. And you're going to do the same exact thing that we just did with the items listed above. You're first of all going to measure using metric units, centimeters, or meters. And then you're going to measure using US customary units, inches, feet, or yards. Again, make sure that you estimate first and then measure. Estimate first and then measure. Before we keep going, I would like to go over a couple of review measurements with you. Okay, so let's talk about those metric units first. So the centimeter is really, really small, so you're going to measure smaller things with centimeters. A meter has exactly how many centimeters inside of it? If you said 100 centimeters, you are correct. So a meter is exactly 100 centimeters. Let's think about inches, feet, and yards. So how many inches are in 1 foot? If you said 12, you are correct. 1 foot is the size of a ruler. It's the length of a ruler. A ruler is exactly 12 inches long. This is what we consider to be a foot. Okay, and then the last one we are going to review is the yard. The yard is how many feet long. How many rulers would it take to make up a yard? If you said 3, you are correct. And how many inches are in a yard? If you said 36, you are correct. 12 plus 12 plus 12 equals 36. One last question for you. Thinking about the metric measurements and the US customary measurements, which measurement is longer, a meter or a yard? If you said meter, you are correct. A meter is a little bit longer than a yard. It's about 8 or 9 centimeters longer than the yard. So yes, you are correct. Boys and girls, thank you for listening. Thank you for reviewing with me. I hope that you have an excellent day. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.